I'm getting old. Older.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Women Speaking Sports RVA. I'm your QB star, Mallory, but I'm not just representing football here. The ladies representing sports are all here today, minus Danielle Fitzhugh. We miss you, girl.
We need a referee.
We need a referee because as crazy as we are right now, we need a referee. The energy right now in the Hilton is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you all so much for coming out, supporting us, networking, partnering, and getting to know each other. We appreciate it so much. Before we get started and we introduce the ladies, let's go ahead and shout out our sponsors. We are recording live right here from the Hilton downtown Richmond every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So they're one of our sponsors and we thank you. We also want to give a shout out to Mike King, Fast Signs, Jerry Howard, Core Mortgage, and Crystal Clear Financials. If you all don't catch us on Wednesdays when we're recording, you all can hear the show on ESPN Richmond Fridays at 6 a.m. I know that's early, but 6 a.m. we'll be right up there with you on Friday. We're worth
Cheers.
And you can also find us Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on The Choice at 105.3. To my right, I've got Steph B. Steph, how are you doing today?
Well, as long as we don't have to talk too much about the Yankees, I'll be good.
Okay, as Lisa puts on her Yankees baseball hat.
I'm over it already.
Well, of course you are.
They're killing the game. I'm not gonna be mad. I'm not gonna be a hater.
Lisa, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling real good in first place. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Dr. Danny, looking like you got a little bit of a tan over there. Miss Queen, how are we doing? How are we
feeling wonderful today. Just out of fresh from Durango, Mexico.
Yeah.
With Club Lena Doris.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And you know what? I don't know if you guys remember her, but
Our fans.
Miss Carrie Roth is returning. She's back. Carrie, how does it feel to be back with us today?
It's so great. I have missed you all tremendously, but I'll have to go on the Yankees bandwagon. My boy Aaron Judge, 2 home runs last night.
Yeah.
He did get outstretched on that third.
I don't know what happened
I
there.
know, but for your Mets, I will tell you, one of their coaches played baseball with my husband.
Oh, I didn't know you were gonna say that. I thought you were talking about our record.
Glenn Sherlock.
Okay.
Glenn Sherlock goes ours. Anyway, you're not in first place, but you're right behind.
We're right behind. We are right behind.
Oh, but can I also say about Aaron Judge? He's leading Major League Baseball right now with home runs.
Oh,
that's all the
Please
team.
promise
Thank you very
me
much.
we're not gonna do
And
this.
so all I have to say
all night long.
show Aaron Judge.
No, I won't.
Show him the money. I
Aaron
agree.
Judge the money.
All right.
Yes, we'll definitely be talking about whether they should be showing him the money or not.
You can
We had
write
a
that
disagreement
check.
about that a couple weeks ago, but I think we may have all come around to the same opinion about it. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, he's proved his worth since the last time.
Yeah. Gotta use the mic.
All right.
Right.
Well, Dr. Danny, talk to us a little bit what you saw over in Mexico. I heard you say those games were exciting. Like, share your excitement with the audience.
Well, I will just say it was exciting just to see my daughter.
Right.
Hadn't seen her in quite a while. Club Lena Doris played the Racers, and the way they play is they play 2 games, Friday night and Saturday night. And when I tell you that Miss Kayla Green was breaking ankles, right, left, and center.
Come on. Period.
Right, left, and center. Say it.
Come on.
I love it.
What was it? But truly, there were at least 3. I've been trying to get the video and recording so I can put them together in a series.
Yeah.
There were at least 3 different Racers players that were trying to hold her, and they went to the floor.
Okay.
So right, left, and center.
Okay. Period.
So basketball is being well played in Mexico.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the competition was high, but what I really enjoyed about it is that all of the girls who were on the floor got into the game. When they play overseas, a lot of times there's some changes that happen, players leave and come and go. And so they had some changes at the point guard position. And so some of the new players they've had changes at point guard, the center and all of that. But the new squad that was together that we got to see, that energy that they brought to the game, they came out there with their intentions to win. They're struggling trying to make it to the playoffs, so they need the wins. But to win 2 back-to-back games Oh, it was hot in
That's
there.
Yeah.
not an easy feat.
That's
either.
awesome.
That's hard.
To beat
Yeah, when you
someone
play
twice.
exactly. When you play somebody back to back, a doubleheader, like, in
Right.
baseball, it's difficult to win and beat the same. I mean, because they got your number the first
Right.
time.
Right,
Come
right,
on,
right, right,
Stephanie.
right.
So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I love that she had that win. I do.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
glad you got that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Carrie, so speaking, I know we're talking about baseball, basketball, but let's put in a little football.
Oh,
Since
Lord,
you weren't
Fox
here
News.
last week, your Tom Brady mini was actually on the panel and held it down for you. Miss Becca was here last week and she did pretty good talking about Brady. How are you feeling not even knowing that Gronk isn't 100% for the 2022 season?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Because he was just a utility player.
Mark, if you're listening, you are a utility player. Bring this Carrie over here. Well, I think
And
the
the other
bigger
thing
question
is
is,
Gronk doesn't even need to practice. He just needs to show up there on the same page.
I mean, it's
They
happened
know.
before, so why not?
So
Yeah.
we're ready for that. But I will tell you, I'm super glad about this Fox News commitment because now we can stop talking about the stupid Miami Dolphin whole scenario that everybody was trying to create a
right.
distraction
Yeah.
when Tom came back out of 42 days retirement.
I
41 days,
don't even
whatever
know
it
it's
was.
41, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it long?
Almost Lent.
Well,
So
right.
Stand up football for Lent.
Lord, you put
Lord,
next to
have
God
mercy.
now.
Honey, it was
Oh, Lord.
lit.
Brady
Is
has
this
to
Aaron
choose
Rodgers
something
or
that-
Tom Brady? Because
Well,
I'm confused.
I'm gonna pull a Dr.
Not
Danny
Aaron
here.
Rodgers, Aaron Judge. Very.
Oh.
Well, you know, Aaron Rodgers likes to go on these little hiatuses as well.
Hey, but you know Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are playing together at the match this year.
Oh,
I think it's beginning of June.
I think June, yeah.
June, yeah.
Well,
They're playing together.
I think the
And then
big
we'll really
question
know
here is if we pull a Dr. Danny, the question is he worth 375 over 10 years, 375 million over 10 years?
I think they
But
got him for a
just
really
because
cheap
he
price.
knows how to play.
Oh,
football.
Lord.
I mean,
Carrie's at a really cheap price,
are you
dog.
kidding me?
Hey,
Drew Brees is out,
he's
right?
out.
Drew Brees is gone.
Not so
We
great.
just being a great quarterback doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be a great
Commentator.
commentator.
No.
Take the Mannings. Eli, not that good in my opinion.
Hey, he's
Okay,
great.
we're not gonna do that.
I'm just saying.
Why are we doing this with the Giants? Let's get on these guys. Okay.
But I was
Let's get on Brady. Come on
He's
now.
so great. I really
Sorry,
like
today.
your boy Tony Romo and Troy Aikman, but Tony Romo is really excellent.
Tony
Oh,
Romo's
yes.
excellent.
She said that last week. She said that last week.
I saw
So
her.
we're in the same team today,
I
Amen.
agree with that. I think that there's a measure of proving yourself in the booth. That 375, I think the 375 is just so he doesn't go anywhere else. I don't think it has.
Where else would he go? I mean, his
NBC,
politics
who
lines
wouldn't
up with
want him?
Fox. His sports lines up with Fox.
Oh,
They got a steal. I'm with her.
They did get a steal. But I also say that you always have to prove your worth when you get there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to show up. But going back to the match, I don't know if you all have ever listened to the match when he's played before.
I have listened.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So
It's,
I
al-
always
it- it's
expected
always
to
high
be
energy
even
too.
better. Yes. And he now has his own line of Brady wear, so hopefully
Oh.
you won't have an Under Armour malfunction.
You know, Becca's got a couple pieces. Becca's got a couple
Oh, that
pieces
high
of Brady
dollar.
brand.
And let me tell you what I think about. I ultimately feel like this. It seems a little desperate to lock somebody down with an almost $400 million contract whenever they decide to retire. But kudos to him for getting the money out of him. I just don't know that it's worth it.
I would like to see the contract. Where is the
Yeah, because you
outlaw?
know,
See what's happening.
Dr.
Yeah.
Danny loves to read a contract.
I
honey.
should.
Yes, he loves to read a contract.
She's looking for the receipts over there.
Yeah.
Always, and she always got them.
And she
And she
always
got
And
them.
that's all I was. Yeah. What's the out?
10 years, it could be 10 years.
Oh, did you hear that?
10 years?
25 is crazy.
So I
That's
just gotta get
insane.
through one more season. I had already accepted last season, and then I gotta get through one more season.
You've been on an emotional roller coaster with that guy.
I know, but
Yeah.
hey,
And he was ready to leave you high and dry.
And you-
Steph B, did you see him riding his bike?
I did
In
see.
New York
I
City?
thought I thought about you too. I really thought to myself, only Tom Brady would think he could just be this freewheeling.
But in New York, people probably weren't even paying attention. They're
Listen,
probably
help
like,
me out. He just doesn't strike me as being very talkative. Have I missed something?
You have.
That's what I feel like I'm missing
He's
too.
extremely chatty.
I'm listening. I'm looking him
No,
up.
I've never picked
Oh,
up on that.
chatty is not a
Never
word I
picked
think
up on
about.
Tom Brady.
You
Very,
clearly
very
have not
chitter
watched
chatter,
The Man in
chitter
the Arena.
chatter. I've never really gotten that.
Okay.
Clearly have not
Well,
watched The Man in the Arena.
I'll see if he's on my fire stick and we'll try to figure it
Well,
out.
I've been looking up videos on TikTok
Yeah,
because he
social media.
vlogs.
Okay,
apparently.
wait a
He
minute.
vlogs.
TikTok is a certain amount of time, right? How fast is TikTok?
It's like a
Well,
minute.
it's over
It's-
now.
Now
Oh.
it's going up to 3
Now
minutes.
it's going up to
Oh,
3 minutes.
okay.
Too much.
Okay, Steph B. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
But I think at the end of the day,
Okay, but
There's a
this
lot
is
to
not
be
the Tom
said.
Brady hour.
there's a lot to
We
be
can go back
said
to Aaron
as
Judge
we
if you
leave
want
Tom
to.
Brady.
I can do Aaron
I don't
Judge.
mind
Judge,
that
Tom Brady.
either.
Where is Joe Burrow?
Oh, I wasn't gonna say
Yeah,
that.
He's in the Bahamas.
He's behind
right
his
now,
shades.
Drinking a pina colada.
Did you guys buy his shades? I sent you the link.
I did buy a pair of
Okay,
shades. My
great.
husband, I bought me and my husband a pair.
Great. Well, I'm gonna wear mine on Monday.
Okay, I'll have
Tomorrow,
mine.
so
Mine are
we just
pink.
Figured out how to win. We'll see.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
But have you all seen the
Harry
commercial?
came-
Killer move.
Harry came back, set me on
Vicious.
fire.
Vicious,
Stop, drop, and roll.
vicious.
Honey, I need to stop, drop, and roll. Where's my fire blanket, honey? Because she set me on fire.
She is.
Harry had big meetings today.
Yeah.
What's coming with?
She said,
big energy.
big energy.
I ain't ready. I'm not.
I'm
ready.
not. I'm not.
But
Well,
I don't want to go too far from women's sports. We got with women's basketball.
women's basketball. We got a huge topic to talk about. So we're going to shift the energy a little bit. This segment belongs to Dr. Danny. So Dr. Danny, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you. Let's get into
Yeah, I guess I want to start by saying it's been approximately 90 days, close to 88 to be precise, that Brittany Yvette Griner, 7-time WNBA All-Star, 2-time Olympian, has been held wrongfully detained in Russia. And when you look at the news, I think the last time that the U.S. consulate people had a chance to see her was over a month and a half ago. I can only imagine what she's going through, but just thinking a little bit about the numbers and what does that mean? So we know that there's about 12 WNBA teams in the U.S., approximately 144 players. Over somewhere around 70 of them play outside of this country,
Right.
Putting aside resting for the season and playing over there to be able to make money. The WNBA has a cap of $230,000. Brittany was earning approximately $228,000 a year. She earns over $1 million in Russia. So the talk now is that she will likely be the last WNBA player to play in Russia with the pullout, because there has been some concerns about that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And, she is one of 40 Americans outside of this country that are being held wrongfully, according to the State Department. So what are they doing? What's going on? Again, we talked about it last week. She's being held because allegedly they found vaping devices in her luggage that included, hashish oil. But what I would say to you is, with the designation change back on May 5th to being wrongfully detained, there's about 11 factors that they consider when you're wrongfully detained, what that really means. And the 3 of them that have been alleged is that, if the United States find that there's credible information indicating your innocence, if they find that there's credible reports that your detention is a pretext for illegitimate purposes, or if there's a conclusion that a diplomatic engagement is likely necessary. So the last 2 is probably, I don't know that she's going to claim innocence. I believe that if she was bringing hashish oil back from a 2-week vacay, that she had it when she left, she had it when she came originally, and this wasn't her first trip over there. And so the last 2, where it's a pretext for something, or the need to have a diplomatic solution, those 2 things are, I think, probably likely within why they're saying wrongfully detained, because now that allows for deeper negotiations. I don't know what Russia is looking for, what they want.
I could tell you, they came out, I think it was 2 days ago, they want to negotiate with.
Oh, for this guy.
For, yeah, an arms
Arms
dealer,
dealer.
and he calls himself the Merchant of Death. So that's what they want to negotiate her release for.
I say give him to him. You know,
I mean,
I say give him to him. Make him in, put something under his skin so we can track him and know where he is. But give him back. Yeah.
well, and the fact of the matter is, it's easy for us to say give him to them because we're all concerned about Brittany Griner.
That's right.
We can assume that if the United States is playing fairly as it relates to diplomacy, detainment, we're probably treating him better than Brittany Griner's being treated.
No doubt.
100%.
And so immediately your gut is, you know what, let him go, let's bring her home. The downside to it is you're negotiating with terrorists. You're negotiating with an individual who is clearly on the cusp of insanity with the things that he is doing in Ukraine. And he has significant issues, mostly everything, all the sanctions and everything that he is upset about, he looks at the United States as the catalyst. So the unfortunate thing for Brittany and her family is the longer the United States is in the long game, assisting Ukraine, which many people feel they should, many people in the country feel they should, the worse it gets for Brittany. Because that's really what they're attaching it to. And so I agree with you. At this stage in the game, just bring her home.
I gotta put a pin in that because I know where you're going. When you don't want to incentivize bad governments for doing things so that they can get something out of us. So wouldn't ordinarily say negotiate, but I do believe, the gentleman who was just brought home in May, right?
So
He had been there 4 years. The average number of years for an American citizen to be held under these circumstances appears to be about 4 years. I just think that this issue and not knowing what's going to happen between Russia, Ukraine, and the long term, I would say get her home sooner rather than later because our government, our companies that were over there, they're pulling out. So the American presence in Russia is going down significantly. And I would not want to leave her behind enemy lines any
I
longer.
definitely-
So I know that it's a personal thing, but until we see movement to bring Brittany home, I hope we will keep this segment alive.
Yeah.
And we need
absolutely.
to keep talking about it.
And
too.
we
I
will,
know-
and we will.
and I know that the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, has now come out that they're
Yeah,
gonna
he did.
start to push, because I have this conversation with many people on a daily basis, and most of the general public is not aware. And I don't want it to be something that just gets swept under the rug. Oh, yeah, Brittany Griner, whatever
Yeah.
happened
Oh,
to
wow.
that
What about that?
situation?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm just amazed that it's not talked about. I know we're making that commitment to talk about it, but why isn't that one of the top news stories? You have an American citizen, like Danny was saying, two-time Olympian, and wrongfully detained. Why isn't there more of an outrage on this?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
And
That makes me upset.
I agree with you, and Dr. Tanny. I really don't think that it's about negotiating with terrorists in that sense. I don't care what. I really think they need to bring her home. I think the longer it goes on, the worse it is for her. I think you have to worry about her emotional and mental state. The fact that you're isolated. Yes, she can speak the language, but there's still that level of isolation, and she's being held while things while we are in a war situation with them. So I agree with you. The only part that I'm concerned about is what they will do to get us to negotiate. A few weeks ago when we all started talking about this, we were kind of like hoping that this was going to be over soon.
Right.
And we all were worried that she would become a pawn. And that is my greatest concern now is that even if we let her go, there's still more. There's still other elements. And the unfortunate thing is we can't just bust down the door and go in there and get her. And I do have significant concerns about her health.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis, and almost everyone who has been detained there has had significant respiratory
That's
issues.
correct.
And we don't want to forget, this is someone that makes her money as an athlete. So there are going to be long-term potential effects to her as an athlete and her ability to make money. I do hope that Adam Silver getting involved, as Lisa mentioned, becomes a catalyst to having greater conversations about the pay. Because now it's serious. Now we have to say, the truth is you don't need $1 million to manage your life and be happy.
Right.
Right.
You don't need it. However, we have trained athletes to believe their value to be in the millions. If they're in the NFL and they're making less than $1 million, they're on the practice squad, right? So now that we train athletes to believe this about their value, they're going to continue to go overseas where they're being paid more. Maybe not Russia, but you also have Turkey. You have other places that are lockstep with Putin, where these women are going and playing basketball. I mean, they're risking their lives. So I do think this is a valuable opportunity to now have deeper conversations about equity and pay.
So, yeah, and I want to mention that there
are a lot of
There are men
men
that
that
play, yes, but typically,
but most
if the
W-
men are
most
playing
W-
overseas, it's because they can't
didn't play
in the
here.
NBA.
So you don't, so again, approximately 50% of WNBA players play outside this country. You don't
You
have
wouldn't have that in the
NBA
NBA.
players playing
Right.
outside.
LeBron's
You
not going to Turkey to dunk the ball.
exactly. There's no motivation. And so interestingly enough, they made a comparison to the Yankees. They said only the Yankees in their organization used to pay players 3 and 4 times what other teams wanted to pay them. But unfortunately, only that only happens in foreign territory, for women are playing 3 and 4 times what they would normally earn as a pro athlete here. And so there's about 213 international teams. And on average, those teams have maybe at least one American, right? Most of them can only have a couple of foreign players. And so if you look at that again goes back to that number, approximately 200 US born professional women athletes are over there playing basketball. 70 of them are from the WNBA. And so that leaves another 130 that's vulnerable. I personally witnessed a situation while I was in Mexico where a US born professional basketball player was detained for over an hour for something that could have been the same kind of thing and did not have the clout of a Brittany Griner or a Stern or whoever. I do know that Brittany's, and it ended well, but Brittany's team over in Russia, they had petitioned for her to be released on house arrest. They had made exactly. And I thought about, it's an oligarch that pays this kind of money, right? I was like, why couldn't he, or I'm sure it was a he, but anyway, why couldn't that entity pay the money to help get her out if that was the case? And that's what reaffirms my belief that it is a pretext, that it's not about, because, again, the criminality associated with, what you can get for an American, in that scenario, either from your own pockets because they trumped up charges, or as an athlete or a visible icon from the government. But I just think that we just really need to put it where it is. Women are not valued the same way that male professional athletes are.
Absolutely.
And so get her home and then worry about those other things right now, but we want Brittany home.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And initially her family didn't want a lot of discussion about it. But I think even now they feel like you need as much conversation about it as possible. It's getting away from you. The longer it goes, we can remember Otto Dinsmere. He was detained, not an athlete, just a UVA student, detained in North Korea. Silly prank. Kids doing dumb things, and he was over there and came home literally on his deathbed.
Yes.
And so while we can look at it and just talk about Brittany as a pawn in this situation, there's the humanity of it all.
That's right.
As well.
Right.
And so I agree with you, Dr. Danny. Whatever we need to do is what should be done in order to get her back home. And kudos to Adam Silver, because I felt like that was quiet way too long.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Their brother-sister organization.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Why are you
haven't they
taking so
spoken
long?
up?
I think the thing that bothers me the most is something that you pointed out, is people are not having conversations about it. I think that's what bothers me the most, because during the pandemic, I've personally seen like the Gen Z generation constantly having conversations about it, and I've seen the change that it's produced.
Right.
And so I think it's so important to keep having these conversations, no matter how uncomfortable it is, because that's how we make change.
Yeah.
Multiple people are talking about it. Multiple people are not have knowledge of what's going on, and they can take their own opinion and formulate that into making change. You know, just like we constantly have to have conversations about real issues that are going on in the world. And at this time, I kind of want to take a moment to send our condolences to the families of Buffalo, New York, for those victims this past week dealing with racism, because these are conversations that are uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but constantly need to be had.
Yeah.
No matter in what dynamic of social light this happens, no matter whether it's in sports, no matter if it's in your everyday life, these conversations need to be had. And so I just want to encourage everybody listening today to educate yourself, have these conversations with your mom, with your grandma, with your uncle, with your friend, with your neighbor, because these conversations need to be had.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
You know,
Period.
Period. Okay.
Preach.
You know, okay. So Carrie, what about you? How do you know any comment?
Any
I'm like
thoughts
reading
on
your
it?
I'm reading your face. And you know her face. I've missed your face. Yeah.
I mean, I think you've had, you know, the conversation here, and I think the points are well made, and unfortunately, it's just not as clean cut as we all would like.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't care who it is, and we're team should never be put in that situation, and we always need to do whatever we can to get them home,
Right.
and make sure that it's just, the world is not the same as the United States.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And all too often we forget that until we see something like this happen.
Good point.
And,
Mhm.
and we should just really recognize and kind of get back to, okay, let's make the opportunities here.
Yeah.
People want to have those opportunities at home
Yeah.
where they're a little bit more safe.
And isn't it weird that we're saying, let's create the opportunities in the land of opportunity, and these women are leaving to go and play? It just absolutely blows
Right.
my mind. You know, and even to Dr. Danny's point, you know, Mexico isn't a third world country, but even there, someone being detained, that is a situation that creates a lot of emotional stress. I'm sure if you saw it with your own eyes, you were privy to it.
That's
So,
right.
you know, the other element of it is, until the dollars and cents, the financial structure is changed, we're going to end up in a place where these women are going to continue to go play. What I do think should happen is that there should be diplomatic efforts within the WNBA where they are negotiating these
That's
things,
right.
and they are more involved. So I was digging into the structure of it. A lot of times the woman and their agent, the athlete and her
Are the ones-
agent,
Right.
are the ones
Are
negotiating.
the ones
Mhm.
negotiating.
And now what we might be seeing is there needs to be an element of where they are aware that any American athlete that comes over to play, as long as they are abiding by the rules of the nation that they're in, they have the full support of the United States.
I got one better for you. First, I want to give a shout out to Alex Taylor, WNBA player Alex Taylor, creating opportunities for women to play basketball. Hoop York City. She created in 2018 because there are more women who want to play basketball that can literally play in the WNBA with only 12 teams. But the other thing is this. We have diplomats in DC, and their children could run over somebody in the middle of downtown DC, and they are not going to be detained because they have diplomatic status. So if our players are going to go out of this country, why not give them diplomatic status?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it still goes back to the fact that this is an individual. This is a human being. I love everything that you're saying. Hopefully, to Carrie's point, we can go back and do these things or begin to do these things. But right now, a lot of pressure needs to be put on, because for her, you know, the last time I saw her in court, she had a hood over her head. You know, she wasn't making eye contact. We
That's
had a
Alex
lot of issues.
Taylor.
Okay.
That's the one I was.
I think it's important at this stage, you know, to be worrying about her emotional and mental
Well,
health.
that's the other part too, not to be able to see her.
Yeah.
Right.
That's ridiculous. And also, we don't know if she even had this hashish oil on her.
No, we
It's
don't.
not. It's not.
It's at the
been
beginning
proven.
of the war. It was when the
Correct.
war is being threatened. So
She hasn't been brought to trial. We don't even know what that's going to be about. So there's so many red flags with this, and I'm really concerned about her well-being.
So she was
There-
stopped in February. They did not pull her and detain her until March. And so that tells you that there
It's
was a
trumped
lot
up.
of plotting and scheming going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she definitely was targeted. I mean.
Clearly.
doesn't take-
Yeah.
And you know what? While we're talking about money and the financial elements of this, shout out to U.S. Women's Soccer.
Yes, just saw that today.
Shout out to U.S. Women's Soccer that
think it has-
actually is going to be making the move. And this proves the point that the entity itself does not have to be pulling in as much money as men's soccer in order to pay them
Because
well
that's
or
always been the
better.
debate with the
Yep.
WNBA. Well, actually, most women's professional
Most women's sports. So here we are with you know, and you have individuals in U.S. Women's Soccer that have just been, you know,
Killing
they
it.
have been coming after the organization.
Mhm.
You know, there is an uncomfortable thing of you're fighting your employer when you're asking for more money, and then when you take it to Today Show and Good Morning America and CNN and all these other spaces, now you're fighting your employer publicly.
Right.
Something that most of us would tell our children, hey, you negotiate in private, don't create all of this. They've had to take this public. And I don't think if they had, I think if they hadn't, the women's soccer players would not be getting, you know, equitable pay.
And
Yep.
look at it.
Yep.
It's not just for my team, for themselves. They're doing it for the
For
generations to
everyone.
come.
For generations
That's
to
what
come.
yeah.
And that's what's so important. So we're gonna go ahead and take a little break, head to halftime, and Women Speaking Sports will be right back.
You didn't shout out our sponsor.
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back to the second half of Women Speaking Sports RVA. It's Steph B, it's Star Mallory, it's Lisa, it's Dr. Danny, and it's Carrie. And we're here in the Hilton downtown with our sponsors, Mike King Fast Signs, Jerry Howard, Core Mortgage, and Crystal Clear Financials. We air every Fridays at 6 a.m. on ESPN Richmond 106.1 and Tuesdays on The Choice at 105.3. And if that is too early for you, or if that's not the right time for you in the afternoon, you can stay up to date with us on Instagram and Facebook at Women Speaking Sports RVA. During the break, we kind of had a little bit of a fun fact from Lisa that I kind of want to share because I think it's kind of cool. But it's also kind of like, wow, she loves the Yankees. Lisa, why don't you tell them about the gadget that you have in your kitchen?
Oh.
Tell them about the gadget you have in your kitchen.
Okay, so I have a toaster that is a New York Yankee toaster, and when the toast comes up, there's the New York, the NY logo in the center. And I've had it for 7 years. I enjoy my toast very much.
I love
And,
that.
and Carrie said,
I need to step up my game. I had no idea. So now after every Yankee win, which there have been many this season.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into it.
Then I'll
You can make you some
toast for
toast.
my-
it ain't
Yeah,
October.
there you go.
Well, I'll connect you to where you get the toaster.
Well. that's
Send
gonna
the
be
link.
hard to
Send the link in the
find,
chat.
but you'll look. Amazon probably has it. We're fanatics.
They might even have a Mets one.
They might
I
have
would
a
take a
Mets-
Mets one. I would take a Mets, yeah. I
That's
thought
the
it looks
right
good.
It's-
Come on now.
It does.
It does.
But that's okay. I mean, you know.
It's a very lonely world when you're a Mets fan.
Yeah, I see
but I
Steph
will
B.
say-
I-
Or
I
Giants.
understand that.
Or
Or
Giants. You
Giants.
know, Steph B is kind of like the loner over
I'm
here.
the loner.
She's,
Giants.
what'd she say?
Or Giants, except for the 2 times they beat my boyfriend.
Her boyfriend.
And that counted,
Yes,
It
it
does.
did.
clearly. And
The
when it
utility
counted, it
player?
counted.
Counted, yeah.
Could somebody answer that phone at the bar? It sounds like it's a bar phone.
Stop. Dr. Denny.
Aaron Judge called.
I'm coming for you.
As Lisa puts on her Yankee
And
baseball
she wears
hat.
it well.
She wears it well.
Yes,
She
she
is.
does.
Lisa is very,
Lisa-
very fashionable.
Let's talk about Lisa's trip.
Let's talk about it. Lisa, where are you going this weekend? And did you get extra flight tickets for the rest of
I'm
us?
sorry, I did not include you all. Then the budget gets bigger at the Tronny household.
Okay.
But tonight, Friday night, going to the White Sox
That's good,
Yankee
that's
game and sitting in legend seats. Thank you very much.
Woo!
Okay, not the leopard
I
seat.
feel like I'm
That
sitting
is a
too
big
close.
one.
I feel like I'm sitting too close to Lisa.
That's why
Spend it all
she
on
spent it
herself.
on the seat.
Yeah. Let me sit closer to her because the favor is
Oh,
over here
yeah.
next to her. So that's why you and I, Dr. Denny,
Favor ain't fair.
period. Well, ladies, do we have any businesses that we want to shout out before we move on? Anybody got anything they want to shout out?
Well, I would like to shout out AARP in the person of Felicia Brown that's with us today. AARP is a supporting member of the Women's Business Center of Richmond. They were recent sponsors for our conference here. Shout out to AARP Virginia.
All right.
I will just note, she does not have to be of age to have an AARP card. You just need to be married to somebody that is.
Know that.
Keep on coming up for you.
Which I also knew.
Pisces.
Spoken like a child bride.
Honey, the shade, the energy in the Hilton right now is just phenomenal, just phenomenal. I want to encourage everybody to come out and join us next Wednesday. I also want to give a shout out. U-Turn is hosting a summer kickoff June 8th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Come out, network, enjoy the food trucks, allow your kids to enjoy some of the programs that U-Turn has, and see what our partners and tenants in U-Turn have to offer. So we'll see you all June 8th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
All right.
Don't forget, when you are home for the weekend and don't have plans, Hilltop Distillery, voted number 5 distillery in the United States.
Oh, in the
is
United
serving up
States.
award-winning spirits, that's bourbon, whiskey, vodka, gin, and moonshine slushies.
I can't wait to.
Really good.
We need to
We
make a
need
trip.
that.
We need a
Okay.
road trip.
Road
We'll
trip.
talk about it
Women speaking sports.
on the way. On the road.
Yeah.
But when you do all this, you also need to run. And so, a month ago,
Wait, I
today,
can't.
finished my
Yes.
Boston And the sports doctors marathon training team is kicking off the first weekend of June, so I've got a month, 2 weeks to get Stephanie signed up.
What?
What? Stephanie, you're running.
She's running. They do have a
Can
walking
I
register.
run in Jessica Simpson pumps?
You can,
Oh, well, then I'll be there.
you know, go for a world record. But they do also have a walking team this year for the first time.
Oh, okay.
training
We
team.
should
Whole
we
run
should
marathon.
that. We should
So,
all
and
do
shout out to
that.
Sports Backwards. They've been, involved in the entire Richmond Marathon. They've been really doing a great job of encouraging local activity in sports and running for quite a while. So shout out to them for that.
And keeping Richmond healthy.
And then you can go to all of Lisa's great places and getting chocolate and.
Yes,
distillery.
afterwards.
After you run.
Yeah.
Leave it up to Carrie to keep us in shape. Love that for her. Love that for her, because somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
a
it's
hard
not
job.
me.
Yeah, it's not me.
It's not me. No.
Oh, yeah, she's right up there.
Who? Oh, girl. Well, you know what? I want to. We can walk. We're gonna talk about it out. We'll talk about it, and we'll let you listeners know what we decide, so y'all can join us on that day. We'd love to see you all out there. Let's talk about an upset that happened this week. The Suns.
Man.
Huge upset on the court. Steph B, you got a big reaction, and I definitely want to hear what you have to say. Dr. Danny, once again, your face says it all, so we'll be going to you next.
No, all I'm saying is shout out to the Celtics.
Mhm.
I think that they showed some intestinal fortitude that would suggest that they have some staying power. Now we have to, of course, look back in the fact that they did take an L but they came out strong.
Mhm.
And so I would have to believe that if the two starters that were out were back, it would have been a different outcome. But they did do what they needed to do against Minnesota. I'm not going to say anything about the Suns. It is what it is.
Okay. Steph B.
It was upset. They
Look,
lost.
Steph B. She's
No,
gonna
they
do
no,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
I
sorry.
talked about Milwaukee and the Celtics. I didn't have anything to say about the
That's
Suns. I didn't want to say
We're
that.
gonna let Lisa go. I got some words for Chris Paul. Hopefully he's listening.
Oh, okay. Go ahead,
I
Lisa.
want to hear the Chris, because I think I agree with you on. Did we say AARP?
Oh.
Wow.
Look at Calvin. Calvin said, oh.
He is 37, right?
37, yeah.
Oh, he's got plenty of time.
You know,
Oh, he's
Well,
not.
according to
He's
Tom Brady,
not
he's
Tom
not
Brady.
Brady.
Exactly. They only played 16 games, you know.
I was rooting for the Suns. I think when we all originally spoke about it, I wanted to see the Suns go all the way. Partially because I really like Chris Paul. I like his energy, I like his attitude. You cannot drop 4 games.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. And so, as you start looking at, first of all, the Suns have kind of had a resurgence. They came out of the regular season with the best record.
The sun always comes out
And
tomorrow.
as Karen says, the sun will come out tomorrow. But the disappointing thing I think is it's no different than when you look at what I say about the Giants. You gotta have a supporting cast. You gotta have some consistency. There's only so much he can do, but I still have to look at him as the leader of the team. He let 4 games lapse. There's no way to do that during the semifinals and come back from it. You just can't do it. And so I'm like, either make up your mind that you are going to fully invest yourself. I think there was a lot of distraction. Even the situation with his family members, it was a bit of a distraction. But make up your mind that this is what you're gonna do. Do it for about a year. I think he's got a season, maybe 2, if he's lucky. But win, because he gets so close too often that it now is like, it's you. You're part of the problem, and I'm disappointed in it 'cause I
Oh,
love
you putting all of that on his
I'm not
shoulders.
putting it all on
It
him,
sounds
I'm
that
saying
way,
you're
because there's a little
leader.
home
Yeah.
cooking
You're
in
a
Dallas
leader.
going on.
You gotta step in the aisle and talk about that. I ain't doing it.
She don't want to talk about it. She don't want to talk about it.
So who are you picking between the Mavericks and Golden State? I mean, Golden State's been pretty inconsistent. I mean, Dallas, you got,
Oh, I'm all Golden State.
I'm Golden State too. I'm Golden State
My
too.
boy Jordan Poole. My Michigan boy, Jordan Poole.
I knew you were pulling for Poole because of Michigan.
Because of Michigan.
It's
Every
always
year.
clear.
He stepped it up. And I am a big Steph Curry fan, who did just get his
I love that.
diploma this past week.
Right.
Yes, he did.
From
Congratulations, Steph.
And for my Pittsburgh Steeler fans, Jerome Bettis also got his degree from Notre
The
Dame
bus.
last weekend.
Yeah.
Get on the bus.
Yeah.
Get on the bus.
And
The
I thought
Pittsburgh
about
bus.
that After all these years to
Exactly.
complete and finish that degree, moms are cheering.
And you know
everywhere.
what? The thing about Steph Curry is that it wasn't an honorary degree either. He went back and completed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because can I just
I
say,
think-
the honorary thing is annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. So
But I'm
let's,
still,
let's
I
make that
don't care
clear.
what he did, because I'm
Because
not pulling for
you know
Steph
what?
Curry in the Golden State Warriors.
But
Okay,
he is Steph Curry.
Cheer
He
for
did need
Jordan
to go back
Poole
and
and
finish his degree. What, he was a semester short or a month short or something.
Too short, yeah.
He went back and actually completed it. So kudos to
Yeah,
him.
he
Yeah,
Davidson.
still wanna
Anthony
lose.
Anderson earned his degree.
Still want,
Yeah.
I still want them to lose. I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna be the
still want
lone.
them
I'm gonna go ahead
She's
and
trying
pull
to
for
figure out who
Dallas
is Anthony Anderson.
because I just can't. root
I'm
for
gonna go.
Golden
I,
State.
I'm gonna go with you with Dallas. Not. I'm. Some things would have to happen for them to really pull it out.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm not rooting for
I
Golden
can't
State.
root for
Yeah.
Golden State. I can't do it.
That's fine. Carrie and I will stand on our
Stand
own.
on our
Oh,
own.
wait a minute.
We've done it before.
Wait a
We've
minute.
done
Wait
it
a minute.
before.
Wait a minute. You were not
I'm
down
Golden
with them.
State. I've been Golden State. For
I thought
3
you were
weeks.
the
Roll
Minnesota.
back the receipt.
She was all for Minnesota, Giannis.
No, roll the receipt. I'm so tired of
We
y'all.
need to roll back the
No,
video.
roll
Mike,
back
Mike,
the
Mike.
tape. Not y'all trying to act brand new because Carrie came back. Like,
Don't. That's why I was throwing shade on the Timberwolves when we were having a conversation. I didn't want to talk about the Suns because I wanted to roll it. And now she's saying she wasn't for Giannis.
So here we are.
I
So
was.
what are
I
we?
do like y'all,
We're
but
2 and 3. So 2 of us are pulling for Dallas. And
Yeah, we want Dallas to pull it out.
Okay, so 3 for
Yeah.
Dallas, 2 for
Lisa's
Suns.
Dallas always.
Yeah, I got it.
I should doubt.
she's Dallas.
Okay, all right. We'll see
Except
what
for the
goes down.
That's
Well, I used to live there,
Well,
so that's why I'm
Oh,
a
no.
So what
Jew.
about,
I'm
so what about the
Milwaukee.
Celtics?
Oh,
and the
no,
Heat?
no, I'm sorry. I was Jerry.
Celtics.
Jerry.
But wait a minute, let's shout out those players that were undrafted, that are playing for the Heat and the Celtics, and they're leading things. So I think that those, I mean, and then the conversation they had about Carter last night and how long he played, and you know, his whole self-image when he played for the Raptors, and then he got fired because he said we're never gonna do that. And he was a difference maker in the second half of that game
Yeah,
because Tatum was getting everything that he wanted.
Yeah.
And when they put Carter on him, so seeing players, he's 37 too,
Yeah.
seeing players who are role players get in and play their role and be difference makers. As much as I wanted the Celtics to win, I have to shout out him and I have to shout out Butler, players that, were, they were over here somewhere, but now they are leading the charge for their team. So
You know what I think
But
is- Go ahead.
I just have to remember, a month ago when I ran the Boston Marathon.
oh yeah,
The
Yeah,
runner,
yeah.
the runner.
yeah, the
I
run.
almost
runner,
sent
the
this
runner.
picture to you all, but I withheld it. In the airport, they have all of the championship banners from all of their teams. But at the same time, like, you had the Boston Marathon, which is the marathon. You had the Red
Shout out
Sox
to New York.
playing a game. You had the Bruins playing a game. And
Yes,
oh
for
yeah,
the
at night you've got the Celtics. I mean, let me tell you, all of them, well, the Red Sox not having a great season, but the rest of them are all in the playoffs. So,
Red Sox
Right.
not
and
having a
seeing
great
those
season.
banners in that airport, it's just like, this is serious winning town. They got something going on.
I
Oh, and let's shout out to
I know
Harvard and
that.
MIT that's in the area. It's pretty good schools
Yes,
up there.
Absolutely.
I do want to say one, because we
With a pretty
mentioned,
good son
we mentioned
graduating from
age
one
with
year.
Chris Paul, we mentioned age
5 minutes.
with several of the individuals.
Because we
Let's
went
be
long the
real.
last half.
When the Detroit Pistons were playing,
Mm.
in the days of Isaiah Thomas, the original, in the days of Bill Laimbeer,
Oh, she in Detroit?
Yeah, I'm in Detroit. I'm going here because we keep mentioning age. We have to go back and look at how old those guys were in the 80s and 90s when they kept playing. And they were
And they
killing
played every
each
day.
other.
Yeah.
Right
They
now, you
played
can
both ends
barely,
of the court, right?
and you can't touch LeBron. LeBron could play till 40, nobody touches him. One little touch and they're going.
Oh,
Well,
Lord.
I've
Yes.
never seen a bigger crybaby than
So
LeBron.
the bottom line, I'm just saying, we keep talking about age from a perspective of, oh, yeah, how long are they gonna play? Listen, Lambeer, Parrish, Ewing, Oak Tree, my dude Charles Oakley. These dudes played a long time.
Shout out to Virginia
elbowing each
Union.
other, punching each other, having full-on brawl. If these young, shout out to Virginia
They
Union.
hustle.
If these young
That's
dudes,
right, yeah.
these guys are well-preserved 37-year-olds. You can't touch
Oh.
them. They're fine. They step your game up, Chris Paul. That's all that's it.
They're weaker, although they may be wiser, they are weaker.
They are weaker. Ask Tom Brady.
The nutrition's really
Sorry.
But again, the number of games that they play today, a little, the intensity of those games and, what you have to do to guard people. I mean, it's all relative, but I will tell you that, there's not a lot of, Rick Mahorns and
If Dennis Rodman came.
Dennis
back down,
Robbins
he
came in the
sued-
NBA at
Yeah.
27, I think. He was about
I'm not
27.
handle Dennis
No,
Rodman
I'm not
right
joking.
now. I mean, if you think about it, how many games are won on that second shot, right? You're
Yeah.
pulling down these rebounds. It's rare that if you have somebody like Rodman in the paint, masterful, absolutely masterful, that if he gets that ball, that he's not going to make that second shot.
Yep.
He played that way late into his into his career consistently. So I guess I just have a little bit of an issue with the fact that these guys are, of course, there's inflation and everything else. They're making a ton of money. You have the ones who are consistently hurt. Everything is a problem. I need to sit out. No, play the game.
Right.
Play the game. Bring home the
Not
money.
play to
Win
motivate
or
the
get out.
charge.
Yeah.
Take
Take
her.
a
Oh.
charge.
So that's why Smart was probably out of that game from
Right.
taking the charge.
He didn't
So
charge.
we need Smart to get
To
smarter.
charge and to charge, period. Ladies, before we wrap up, we're kind of gonna use what,
He told us wrap it
yeah,
up.
we gotta go. We gotta get ready to go. But we're gonna do a quick kind of sports trivia like we did last week. So if you guys know the answer, feel free to shout it out.
Let me move my Google.
What is Canada's national sport?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, she just said shout it out. I'm sorry, I raised my hand.
I agree with probably not hockey.
It's
The
not
doctor
hockey.
follows the rules. I don't think it's hockey either.
No,
Is it?
No,
No.
curling is new,
Mm-mm.
ice
relatively.
skate.
It's lacrosse.
Really?
Canada's national sport is lacrosse.
See, that's why I raised my hand because I knew I had the right answer. Y'all didn't call on me.
You don't even make your own answer.
Yeah, I know. What team gets the advantage of first bat in baseball? The home team
The
or
away
visiting
team, the away
team?
team.
Visiting team.
That's not an advantage.
What?
Really is.
It is because you get the last at bat.
No, the home team. gets
First,
the last.
exactly. So the away team goes first.
Sticking with baseball, how many total minutes of action are there in an average baseball game?
3 hours and 18 minutes.
That was very
If you
specific.
drop the 3 hours, there's only a total of 18 minutes in an average baseball game of action.
Can we
Oh.
look at Lisa's face? She spent money on
Hell, if I'm
lemon
on the-
to see 18 minutes. Lisa looked like, what? I want my money back. So don't take it. Let's do the math.
Yeah. Well,
$100 a minute. Define action.
All right,
well, it's
okay.
kind of like football. I think it's only about 6 seconds for the
Right,
average play. So if
exactly,
you add up the number of plays,
I guess
It's
that's
a lot.
about right.
18 minutes of
But that's right,
of
but it-
action,
it's
of
a lot
action, of
money to
action.
pay for 18
All right,
minutes.
here's the last one. What is the only team in the NFL to neither host nor play in the Super Bowl?
Oh, we know it ain't right.
Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns.
Oh, give me the ring.
You're the only one that's gonna get
And Carrie with the rim shot. She is not playing today.
Speaking of rings, I'm sending a lot of favor over to the Pittsburgh Steelers this year to bring home another one.
That's
Oh,
right.
no, it ain't.
I'll be happy we just get the
Everybody can dream at the beginning of the season.
What
just
kind of
like it's
drink
not
is
October,
Carrie
just like it's not
The
October.
haterade,
November.
honey, the haterade. It's
That's
the
right.
haterade. All right, well, that wraps up this week's episode of Women Speaking Sports RVA. We want to shout out our sponsors, Hilton, Mike King, Fast Signs, Jerry Howard, Core Mortgage, and Crystal Clear Financials. You can catch us on ESPN Richmond Fridays at 6 a.m. on 106.1 and Tuesdays on 2 p.m. on The Choice on 105.3 FM. If you all can't find us there, you can catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Women Speaking Sports RVA.
Or the Daryl Green Golf Tournament.
We will be there at the Daryl Green Golf
We're making
Tournament
a
on
special
Monday.
guest appearance.
Special guest.
One of our appearances in live and in person.
Yeah, you
We'll
might
be
want
there.
to catch it.
You might want to catch us there. You might want to catch us. I don't know.
They created a monster.
We want to thank you all so much for coming out to the Hilton, and we will see you next week right here on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. to record live with Women Speaking Sports RVA.
Carrie's got it.